is to make new, fresh, or strong again. To begin something again, especially with more force or enthusiasm. To make new, spiritually as in to regenerate.
Yes.
To become new or as new. Now the mind, the definition of mind is the part of a person that thinks, reasons, feels, and remembers. But not only do mind state it's perfect, it reveals how and the way a person thinks. Process. It's a series of actions or changes that produces something or that leads to a particular result. So my question that I had to ask was, what process is we going through? And what God revealed to me is that he's taken us through the process that's called the transformation.
That's right.
And the reason that we have to be transformed is because the state that we was in was unacceptable to God.
Right. Yes.
God has requirements that we have to meet, and we have yet to meet those requirements when it comes to him working and renewing our mind.
Yes.
See, our mindset is still in somewhat of bondage. It's still locked up in our own will. It's still in a place that needs to be worked on. So it's not completely renewed. It started off good, but we just haven't got through the end yet.
That's right.
So some of us started going through the process only to quit or to turn around or return to the area that God has called us out of. And this process is needful. It is a must. There's no way for us to live without being transformed in our mind. Because we will never come to the understanding of what God is trying to do and will do in our life. So this process of transformation is to take us from our old man to the new man. And the old man, the old way of thinking, the old way of doing things, the old way of just speaking, all of that has to be done away with. And that's according to 2 Corinthians 5:17. All things shall be done away with. It said all things become new. So we're going to have new thoughts, new visions, new attitudes. Our character would become new. It's all out new.
Amen.
So as God begins to process us, take us through the process, some of us kick because we don't want to go through the process. We want to call on God, but we don't want to go through the process. So you can't be renewed if you're not going to accept the word of God. You can't be renewed in your mind if you're not going to submit to the word of God. You can't be renewed or transformed if you are not going to obey. And part of transformation, you have to obey. You have to submit. You have to come into alignment with the word of God. God promised to do a new thing in us. A new thing. He said, I will do a new thing in you. And the new thing starts with our mind. See, God gently takes us and he begins to make over our thoughts. You know, sometimes when we say we can't, and God says, you can do all things through Christ. You can do all things through me. There's nothing too hard for God. And we read the scripture and God says you got to apply it. You got to live it. You got to work this out. So you can understand that your way wasn't the way. He said there's a way that seemeth right. And the way that seemeth right is our will. So we have to learn to submit our will. And we have to do as the Lord says to do. See, when God begins to work on our mind, it makes us uncomfortable. It makes us very uncomfortable because we don't want to let go. We don't want to come out our shell. We don't want to come out of our comfort zone. But if we say that we want to be like Christ, then we have to learn to take off everything. We have to totally submit to God. We have to give up everything. Our hands, our feet, everything we have to submit to God. As my pastor said, he don't want visitation rights. He wants full custody. Full custody. So that means for us to come and say, I'm going to serve God, and apparently you're not going to do it according to the word. You're not going to be obedient to the Spirit of God. The Holy Spirit is saying, just wait. And you're going, no, I can do this because it's on my mind. And I can say what I want to say. And I don't care what people think. That's not of God. And God is saying, that's the old man.
Yes.
That's the old way of doing it. That's the old way of speaking to people. You can't speak to people how you want. That's that old thinking. You can't come to church whenever you want. Oh, that's the old way of thinking.
Yes.
When your leader calls for a fast, you can't fast whenever you want because that's the old way of thinking. And in order for us to be the person that God has called us to be, believe it or not, it's going to take some work, and it's going to take something that people don't want to do. They really don't want to submit. And that word submit seems to get a lot of us in trouble because when God is beginning to work on us, and we say, God, I want to be made over. And I keep saying, Tone said it right. Lord, make me over. But you have to be willing.
Yes.
They said willing and obedient. What's the purpose of you telling God, make me over, if you're not willing to go through the process? No one said that the process would be sweet. No one said that it would be just a bowl of Fruit Loops and milk. It's not going to be that. When you start going through the process, trust me, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some discomfort. Your family members may turn against you. You're going to lose some friends. Even those that's in ministry that you thought had your back will turn around and stick a knife in it. But you have to be willing to go through the process. There's times that you're going to have some pain in your body, and the doctors can't understand why you are in pain. They done tried every type of medication and still can't come up with a diagnosis. But it's part of the process. Even when we get up, when we go out, there are going to be people that just lash out at you for no reason. And you can't say a word. You can't open your mouth. You can't come out of character. You can't talk about them. Oh, you're going to be able to turn your face to the wall and do like Hezekiah. And then it's like, God, for you I live, for you I die. But you have to be willing to go through the process. And the process, like I keep saying, is never easy. But if you fight the process, you make your process 3 times harder than it originally was. See, God said, if you just keep your eyes on me, keep your ears tuned to my mouth, stay in prayer, stay in my word, do not get caught up in the yoke of bondage, you will understand that I am leading you in the way that you should go. But if you tend to have itchy ears to everything, you're going to find yourself lost. You're going to find yourself out of the divine will of God. You're going to find yourself in a place where it seems that God has left you, everybody has left you, that you're all alone, that nobody cares, nobody wanted to do anything with you. And it's not that. It's the fact that you decided to fight God in the process that He knows that is best for you. He said, I know the plans that I have for you. So when did our will become greater than God's will? So what we're going to do, we all have to go before God. And we all have to stay in the presence of God. Because one thing, when I believe Paul made it very clear, he says, think on these things. Those things that are true, the things that are honest, the things that are just, pure, lovely, and are of a good report. Gossip is not of a good report. Division is not of a good report. Chaos is not a good report. If none of those things that need to be in our thought process is of a good report. Because when we line up with the Word of God, you begin to see the will of God manifested in your life, and you're able to walk in the victory that God says that you're going to walk in. See, the end result of us going through the process is, one, we become more than conquerors. That's because we applied the Word and we learn to live by the Word and believe the Word, take God at His Word.
Amen.
And the next thing is that we learn to catch those thoughts that our pastor says, watch her thoughts. Watch those thoughts. We learn to cast down the thoughts that God tells us that we can cast down. The thoughts, the imaginations, whether you're in a crowd or whether you are by yourself. You learn to cast down every thought that is not of God. And then we learn to walk in obedience and in love. The process actually begins to squeeze out all the imperfections. It begins to squeeze out everything that is not of God. It begins to break the chains and destroy the yokes. But the process not only breaks chains, but it also brings forth the fruit of the Spirit. So in order to have that renewed mind, part of the manifestation of the fruits of the Spirit, your mind has to be renewed. You have to think the way God thinks. You have to think on the things that God told you to think on. If God tells you, you can do all things through me, then your thought should be, I can do all things through Christ. If God says that there's nothing too hard for me, then you should be able to take all your problems and lay it at the feet of God and say, there's nothing too hard for God. If God says, I made you kings and queens, I made you to be a city set on top of a hill whose light cannot be hid, then your word should be, I am that city that is set on top of the hill, and my light cannot be hid. See, your words have to line up with the words of God and not any other way. So I encourage you to go through the process. Do not be afraid. Do not hit. Don't fight. Don't murmur. Don't complain. Don't be like the children of Israel, but learn how to be like the disciples that Jesus had called, and they just dropped everything and said, Lord,